Hello everyone, thank you for joining my live today. Whoever is here, drop a message in the chat box. Okay, for people who are joining, uh, just to get the conversation going, let me know uh, in the chat box where you are joining from and what your all time favorite character is. Hello, Manisha. Thank you for your appreciation. So, Kishori, my wife is joining us today to read your chat messages, and I will be inking the artwork we colored yesterday. Let's switch to the drawing cam. Before we start, I'm doing these artworks for my book, which is an e-book where I break down all my the skill set required for drawing, designing, and presenting your original character. So, if you have struggle drawing characters which you have come up with, drawing original characters, then this is the book for you. So, check it out. This is the sketch that we did in the last live stream. If you have not checked that one out, I would say check it out later and draw this sketch and see how I go about doing that. And these are kind of bonus sessions for people who already have my book. And today we are going to take this forward. We are going to ink it. So for inking, I use my dry ink brush with a pure black color. It started raining just now.
Rahul Sharshad says, "Hello, sir. How are you?"
I'm great, Serge. Thank you for joining my live stream. I hope you drew your sketch yesterday. If not, just watch along. So, inking inking is sort of going over your rough sketch and drawing the final lines. Now, what I like to do for inking is take my dry brush. If you don't use Procreate, that's fine. Take any brush which gives you a thick and thin line. So, like with pressure, this should happen. You can see the tip of the stroke are thin, and as you apply pressure, it becomes thick. So, you should be able to control this motion. So, this gives a lot of control over how you can express your character with line weights, and there's a lot of benefits for using different weights for your inking. So I have a sketch on a different layer, so I'm gonna reduce the opacity of this layer, and on a new layer I'm gonna start my inking.
Rahul, Monisha asking, are the brushes you customize ones?
No, I always use the default brushes. I don't like experimenting too much with the brushes. So for sketching I use my 6B pencil brush, and for inking I use my dry ink. Now for inking you can also use studio pen, like so. This gives a very clean line, but if you want a bit of texture in your lines, you can use this what I use, dry ink. So if you can see, this gives a sort of textured look to the stroke, and I kind of like that, but it all depends on what purpose you are using that for. So let's begin with our, these are 5 characters that I came up with last time. So this guy is the fighter, then the archer, then this is a guy, a dwarf with a mace, this is a mage, and kind of we gave it a trishul as a magic weapon, and this is another soldier who is a female soldier, maybe a knight. So let's start.
Ronit says, please make Magneto if possible.
Ronit, we are today we are doing this drawing and we are going to finish this, but surely if you join my random character stream which I'm going to do later, you can share your request and we'll draw what you want. So let's start with the face here. I am going to use my thick and thin stroke, varying my line weights.
Sketcher Comics asking, do you use brush pen?
I work a lot digitally, so the only thing I use is my iPad, and on the iPad my favorite brush is this, the dry brush for inking. So I'm gonna keep this super quick because I want to get to coloring later on. So hang back if you want to see how I choose my colors. Keep your line weights varying. Inking is my favorite part as it is a very peaceful and enjoyable process to go through, and while inking you can listen to podcasts or music if you want to. So I might follow the sketch lines, I might go away from them, just figuring out what the final lines are going to be. I'm copying the same brush in the eraser too, so that the texture remains the same in while erasing also. Some things which are I'm drawing with straight lines, I like to use this cool feature of Procreate that makes your line strokes straight.
Irsa Nafi is asking, which brush are you using?
I am using the a default brush in Procreate called dry brush, dry ink here. You can find it in inking. So I'm doing these live streams to finish my book and to show the entire process of creating some finished characters, as I can't do this in my book and I can direct people to see them, because you people keep asking me how I do the things I do. Okay, this guy's foot is coming on top, so just doing that as well. Sometimes it is good to keep the areas in shadows completely black like that. Maybe I'll add a bit of depth here and there. Just the areas which are deep in shadows. So I guess that's the first character done. I'll combine my ink and in a new layer start this second character. If you're joining just now, in the comments tell me where you're joining from, which place you come from. I really like to know where you guys are from. Again, here in the shadows I've kept it black. If you want to see how I drew these characters, I have drawn them from scratch in my previous live stream. You can watch it on my channel.
Irsa Nasif asking what topics are covered in your book.
That's a great question. So my book is all about drawing original characters and the skills that you need to get started in that. So in the first section, which is drawing, I have covered the skills needed to draw, which is like the basic anatomy, the proportions, the for the head, the bodies. Then in the designing section, I have covered what you need to do to think about while drawing original characters, like how to tell the story of the character, what the character comes from, what age of the character, the background. I have a whole section on different age groups as well, showing the body proportions, then the prop, the clothing, etc. And then in the presentation section, I am sharing. It is actually this artwork goes in the presentation section as well. So there I am going to share how to present your character to clients in case you are hired to draw a character, and what needs to be shown by to the client so that they know what you are doing, the progress, what stages you need to show. And then the final section that is yet to be done is going to be a gallery of my original characters, which I am gonna create just for the book. So that's gonna be a bonus section. And the book is just an ebook for now. If you want a physical copy, you can wait till it's complete so that I know where how much it will cost for me to print it, and then I'll be putting it up for pre-orders. And I've been working on this book for the past 6 months in my free time, and it is the best personal project yet.
Sketcher Comics asking how much is your graphic tab. I think he is asking for a cost, I guess.
My graphics tab, I'm using an iPad here, which is about 1 lakh rupees, but you don't need that to be good at drawing. You can start with a simple pencil and paper. Once you are good at skills, you can get the basic iPad to practice your digital work, which will cost you around 38,000, I guess. If that is beyond your budget, you can start with a super basic screen displayless graphic tablet, just a pen tablet, which will cost you under 5k. Nowadays you can even connect these tablets to your phone in case you want to practice your digital art, so that's a good plus.
Irsa Nasib asking, do you cover coloring techniques as well as in your book?
No, the book is all about creating your characters, so how to do original characters, and rendering as it is called is not covered. So the book is just covers the skills, so you can practice on paper as well. Nothing digital is covered there.
Sketcher Comics asking, what is the name of this gang?
I have not named the gang yet because I just drew them in the last live stream. If you can suggest a name and if I like it, I'll name the gang. I have just called it the Adventurers, which is a lame name. You can only name someone after you know how they look like, and I did not know how they looked like before yesterday. Let's add some blacks here as well. Just a tiny bit to give depth. I guess I'll draw a couple of them in the gallery section showing different poses and expressions. So that's a good start for the last section of my book. I especially like this turban guy and maybe the wizard. I don't know, let's see how that goes. So if you buy my book right now, you will be getting 73 pages, which is the maximum, like the most of the book is covered in those pages, and that will be a PDF. And when I'm done with the next part, that PDF will be updated and you will get the download link. And after that, I'm gonna do the hard copy as well, and it will be at a lower price for those who have bought my ebook. So that's a whole different thing that I need to work on. Because let me tell you, printing something is not easy. At least I got a vendor now who has done a good job on my past books. So I've done a couple of comic books before this and also an art book called Robots. You can check it out on my shop. The comic book, the second comic book, is actually my favorite personal project till date. I'll show that in a bit when we are done with this. So if you draw these characters from the live stream, you can show them to me on Instagram and I'll share it with everyone.
Sketcher Comics suggested name for the gang. Sangrakshak.
Sangrakshak, that's a great name. Goes with the Indian theme too. I guess the two of the guys here can be Indian. The female also because of the tikka. Sketcher Comics, are you joining for the first time? We haven't talked before on Instagram. Do you have a different name on Instagram? Let's draw this straight line holding it down. This is going to be a long stream because I'm going to finish coloring in here. So even if you can't wait till then, it's alright. But I want to get this artwork done and I want to get my book finished. This trident is a magic trident. I'm going to give it a glow in while coloring. That's 4 characters done. Let's move to the last one. Just drawing a bit of ground here and there. Let's combine these layers and a new layer for the last one. Unali, I am always so happy to see you on the streams. You have been on every one of my streams till now. I am really grateful for that. Search is saying, what about the name Dwarax? What does that mean, Search? So in my book I also cover the differences in male and female characters, the features you need to take care of. It is a very short guide of 100 pages and that is a great starting point, a good point to get you started on how to create characters from your head. It has a few exercises as well. And buying that book, you get to connect with me directly and I am happy to help solve your queries.
Rajesh say hello. Missed last stream. Better late than never.
Thank you, Rajesh, for joining. You can always watch it later and I would love to see what you create.
Shar said it's some kind of Indian or a Greek name derived from Dwarka. Okay.
That's good, Serge.
Hmm.
I like Greek mythology a lot. If anyone has guessed my book called The Call of Callisto, Callisto is a Greek name as well. I'm fascinated by their mythology. Actually, I'm fascinated by every culture's mythology. I like hearing the stories. This sword is a bit wonky.
Unali asking what paper size do you recommend in Procreate? DPI.
In Procreate, my favorite size is 8 inches by 10 inches. This is actually 8 inches by 8 inches. And DPI, I always keep it at 300 because I want to be able to print these, and for printing 300 is a good number. So always if you intend to do something with your artwork in print later, always keep 300 dpi and a good physical resolution. So 8 by 10 is a good resolution. Let's get this character done, and then we'll move on to coloring, and you'll get to see how I pick my colors. I am not that great at picking colors, but I have a great workaround for it.
Sketch or comic suggested one more name. Rakshako ka Sangharsh. I like the first one better.
So Kishori liked the first one better. What was the first one?
Sang wait.
Sanrakshak.
Sanrakshak.
Okay. That is our inking done. That took a while. Took me 30 minutes. Okay, if you any of you are drawing with me, keep going at it. I will show you my comic book. So this one I made last year, and it is, let me see how many pages it is. It is a 28 page long comic book, and it has these cool characters. So if you can see how much I enjoy creating new characters. This is my favorite pose. Okay, here, this is my favorite pose with the baddies, and I have used different animals to create these characters. And creating these mini comics are my, like, it is a way to upgrade my skills. You just learn so much when you do a project start to end. This robot character is a, and here's a group photo on the last page. Let me show you. So you can see, you can this is available as an ebook as well as this physical book which I mailed directly, and it's called The Call of Callisto. This is the first part. I'm gonna make 2 more parts, but these are huge projects for doing in your spare time. So yeah, if you want to check it out, I would really love it if you get yourself a copy. रक्षकों का संघर्ष. Okay, that's the name. Okay, let us start the coloring. For coloring, the first thing that you do, I will turn off my sketch layer, all my sketch layers, combine my inking layers. The first thing that I do is block out the whole characters.
Sure Shot asking how much long did it take to get your Apple Pencil, sir?
How much long did it take?
Let me charge us.
I don't understand the question. Can you elaborate that question?
Sketcher Comics asking, can you share the Instagram
What do you want me to share to Instagram?
ID or
My Instagram ID is sketchedup20 as well, the same name as the channel. If you have done any of these drawings in the live stream, you can share it with me on Instagram. Okay, for coloring, first thing I do is remove the white, put a gray tone as a base color so that I can clearly see different things.
like the duration of the delivery? Shart asking.
If you buy from the official Apple website, it's like it comes next day. If you are staying in a major city,
He's saying like 2 weeks.
my iPad and Apple Pencil came in just a day. So I am picking a random skin color, and I will do all the base colors first and then tweak them as I go. So for now, all the characters I will draw the ink, the skin tone in one layer, and later on I can tweak it for different characters. So blocking is the first step. So wherever I know the skin is visible, I am coloring the skin. I'm using the same brush. Wherever the skin is visible, I'll use this. Maybe here it's visible. As I said, it's gonna be a long live stream, guys, so that people can refer back to it if needed. And I plan to do a lot of these, and it helps me out as I get my work done. I'm not doing these illustrations just for the live streams. I am doing them to finish my book. Unali says, do you use clip mask or alpha masking, or do you color in a new layer? And which brush are you recommend for sketching, inking, and coloring? For sketching, I use 6B pencil. For inking, I use the dry ink brush, and coloring, I use the same as well, the dry ink. And the first part, I use the clipping mask or alpha mask if needed. You will see from my process here. So suppose I have to paint something on the skin, I will put a new layer and use your alpha mask on it. For now, painting the skin for all my characters. That's all the skin on that lady. Let us do the hair next. Again, I will use a random color, a brown color for hair, a new layer on top. So I use layers a lot. That's why here the mustache I colored over it. I will color over it for the objects that cover it. I missed the ear here.
Sketcher Comics saying next time can you draw Miss Marvel?
You are really into taking giving out requests, aren't you? I am actually into drawing original characters. So if you can suggest me to draw original characters, I would really prefer that. You know why you should draw original characters? Because it shows your ability to create something new, and that is what you will be paid for if you are planning to make a career in art. Of course, so if you draw fan art, you will be hired by the big companies if you are really good at it. For example, Derek Loffman is a really good artist and he has made his career by drawing fan art. And now he works for Marvel and DC and other big corporations drawing their stuff. But very recently, he has stopped doing characters like other people's characters and started focusing on his own. So, fan art has its own place, but in the long term, try to create original characters. I guess that's the hair done. Since the most of the armor is steel, putting a layer all below all the layers and blocking the areas of the armor, and you can be rough as the other layers are on top of it. I'm going to draw these in my simplest coloring process, the most basic coloring process that you need to know to give good quality output.
Monali saying, sir, request, please can you consider facial emotions for next live? It will be very informative.
Yes, sure, Unali. I will do these live streams covering different topics. Actually, if you want to learn from in depth, I am gonna do a whole character creation workshop. Actually, the funny story is I started my work for the workshop, create my notes, and then decided to put those notes in a book so that I get some income at least. So let's focus on this character for now. On top of all the color layers, I'm gonna put a layer where I will put all the details like the eyes, the teeth, and all the tiny objects. So for now, let's just focus on this character. I'll just put random colors for now and later on judge if they all work together, and I'll show you a neat trick how to judge them. So just to differentiate these details on the armor, I put a different color on top. So when you're coloring a single character, use the maximum of 3 to 4 clear colors, which are your major colors, so that it looks all cohesive. So here I have used this gray and the brownish tone color. Now for the skirt, let's go with something lighter. On a new layer, I'm putting this one. Actually, the skirt also has two parts, so this will be the one that goes round. And then one more layer. So now we have so many layers. This is our main skin, then the hair, then the details, then below that is your clothes main color, then a secondary color, and now a third color, which is the smaller details, smaller parts. So these layers we'll be using to do all the characters. And I missed this one for the shoes. So I'm repeating these colors all over the costume so that your character doesn't end up looking too colorful. It should all go together. Now the smallest colors, and if you can see, all these colors are not saturated either. So here I have chosen something very less saturated. If I go to the right, it will stand out. So the most saturated colors I'll use for accents. Like if I want to use a reddish color, I will never go beyond this. It will be somewhere here. Because if you use saturated colors, it will start hitting your eyes and get the attention of the viewer. It will jut out from your overall design. So tiny things like maybe lights or these accents, you can use saturated colors. Now maybe this last detail is something of a gold. I'll go to the detail layer and draw on top. I'll repeat the same gold maybe in the sword, these designs. Remember, these are just the base colors, and the sword blade will be a very lighter grey. Now these are all the colors of the character filled in. Maybe I'll use this same red for this tiny detail, the band tying the hair. So these are all the colors filled in. Now a neat trick is to check if these colors work well. For that, I want to see this in grayscale, so I create a new layer on top and fill it with white and put this on layer mode color. So here what you see is if this thing, all the colors can be identified and none closer to each other are clashing. Like this armor color and the beard color shouldn't be too close. They should always have contrast. So if I feel the beard color is not enough dark, I can go in that layer, select this and tweak it a bit. I'm darkening it. So see here how the beard stands out now. and when you darken it, it will sometimes go more saturated, so you can deset that.
Monisha asking what are the brushes you use often?
As I said, I only use these two brushes: dry ink and 6B pencil. 6B pencil for sketching and dry ink for inking and coloring. And I will show you one more brush which is my favorite, but it will come later in shading. So all the solid colors are blocked. Now on top of all the layers, I will put a new layer and put it on multiply mode, and this will be our shadow layer. I put this on somewhere around 75%. For shadows, I use a color like a light purple. So here is purple and the light purple is somewhere here. And what I'm gonna do here is color all my shadows. Maybe this is my direction of the light, so I'm gonna color all the shadows keeping that in mind. So I'll start with here, putting it here.
Irsa Nasif asking what are the best platform to start art career from?
What do you mean by platforms? If you are meaning social media is just a tool that you can use to share your work with the right people.
Monisha asking other than the three brushes you told us about, I see you use the other brushes on your wedding cards.
Exactly, that's a brush I reserve for shading, and it is this brush. It's called Eagle Hawk. It is also a default brush in Pocket. So you will never see me using other brushes than that. So here I am painting the shadows. Going on wherever I will feel the light is creating the shadow. And the shadows give a bit of depth to your drawings, like so. By the way, if you face any issues art wise, you can always DM me on Instagram. I'm fairly active and I'll be happy to help you out. Now this is my first shadow layer. I can sometimes go beyond this. Okay, this is a part of the second character which I will come back to later.
Unali asking thoughts behind using light purple for shadow with multiple mode and 75% opacity.
So normally the shadows are created against what light? So it is, so for sunlight, which is a warm light, normally the shadows tend to be cooler. So normally I use this light purple, which is a cooler purple, for shadows, but I can go for skin. Maybe I can go from here to here, which is a bit warmer purple, but this is a good using a cooler shadow color is a good way to create some interest of contrast of color in your art. The logic is that warm light has cooler shadows. So sometimes I will create a new layer, again the same on multiply 70%, same shadow color. So this is where I put in places which is a lot darker. So somewhere here beard, maybe here, and here in between. So see how it creates a metal sort of thing. So this I use for the contact shadows, as you call them, which is in the darkest areas.
Sketcher Comics asking what is your favorite comic book?
I'm more into graphic novels and kids graphic novels on top of that. So the most influential comic has been a graphic novel called Five Worlds. I really like the colors they use, and the overall story is really good. It's a series of 5 books as well. The fifth one just came out. I've yet to read that one.
Munali asking for shadow. Did you create a new layer or did you use a mask tool?
I have used 2 new layers for the shadows. So here is my first layer and here is the second layer. I like to keep them separate because I can, tweak them if necessary. I'll keep this at 70. And the second shadow layer adds more depth, as you can see here. Okay, now the other thing that really pops your artwork is the highlights layer. So I'm putting a new layer on screen, putting this on maybe 50%, using white. I can use white or yellow, but I use white. And I'm putting these sharp highlights. So this one is for the sharper highlights. Again, this is my light source. So using this as the brightest spots, giving the hair a bit of texture. Maybe I'll do this because this is metal and it's reflective. So I increase this size of the highlight, putting something here as well. This is how you create metal. You create strips of light and it makes it look shiny. On the sword as well, maybe here, then a few lines. This makes it look shiny. And here, this is reflecting the ground below. So I'm using this for the hair and the metal bits. This is reflecting the environment. See how shiny it looks now. The gold bit. I keep coloring this, but it's a different character. It's fine. Now this is my main highlight layer. Now I use a second highlight layer for the less shiny objects. Again, this layer is on screen, but I use the opacity as maybe 20%, and go over things. Now here the character, the other side, which is not the direction of the light, has the environment bounce light. So this whole part will have this rim, the edges go over this light, so that you get a feel that the environment is bouncing on the other side.
Monali saying it's amazing to understand your process, your thoughts, and simple techniques give great results. Thank you, G.
Thank you so much, Unali. I am glad you are enjoying this live stream. Now, this simple technique is used by a lot of artists to get great results. I have learned it from just observing different art, and see how easily this metal looks. It's a dark metal. Now I have kept the colors separate, so I can go here on my metal layer if I want to, and tweak this, make it more or less reflective as I need. And remember, we tweak these colors from this thing, the grayscale. In grayscale, all the colors need to look different, and that's your tones, your values. And if your values are good, no matter what colors you put in your values, your character colors will pop. Now, as a final touch, you can make the gold look more gold by choosing a more yellow color, and in the gold layer I am putting this yellow as a glow that immediately makes the gold look like gold. If you can see, I'll be sharing this artwork on Instagram later. So I guess one of the characters is done. Let's see how much we can finish. Actually, I missed this in the second highlight layer. You can do this to separate your hand more.
Irsa Nazif asking, did you create a new layer for shadows, and what's the layer mode?
So let's go over our shadows again. The layers. All my color layers are below here, and on top of that, this is the first shadow layer. Let me turn everything off. So this is my first shadow layer on multiply mode with the light purple color. It is on 70% opacity. The second shadow layer has all the contact shadows which deepen the shadows. The same 70% and multiply with the same purple color. You can vary these colors to make your artwork pop even more. Maybe you can saturate it more, choose a more warmer or cooler color. Then this is my first highlight layer, which is at on screen mode and 50% opacity, and the second highlight layer, which is a bit lower opacity, again on screen mode, can be 20% here. And there's one character done. You can add a final touch on top of this, all these color layers. I'm adding one more color layer. As you know, I have created all flat colors, so I'm choosing this beard color, choosing a more lighter color, brown, choosing my Eagle Hawk brush. You can find this brush somewhere in Procreate, and I'm adding this little details. Maybe I'll choose a more lighter color. I'm adding these color variations here on the beard because hair can be a bit varied. Then I can add a pink, light pink color to the cheeks, maybe. Smaller brush. This just adds some variation in color. If I go in the armor color, I will choose maybe a red, just to create some color variations. Then choosing this brown color, varying the color a bit. I'm using the Eagle Hawk brush here. Then the red color, maybe a bit orange. I'm just lightly painting over my other colors. Varying the skin tone a bit. For the eyes, you can put a dot in the pupils, tiny dot like so, just to show that it's shiny. And if you can see the last layer that we used, this is the difference that it creates. Just gives a bit of more variation in your colors. So this is one character done. Let's do another one quickly. So in this, I wanted to make the turban red. And where else can we repeat this red? Maybe on the shoes, because repetition makes your character more appealing. Repetition in colors and in shapes and design. Then a second layer. I'm just keeping the layers separate because if I want to tweak them, I can. Maybe he'll be red and blue, but less saturated blue for this under tone. Then we can use maybe I'll tweak this color later, but just doing this for now. I'm using the hue saturation modifier to tweak this, maybe a light blue like so. And this guy will have gold all over it. In the details layer I'm picking the same gold for this symbol and this thing, the knee pad. Maybe this belt. And the mace as well. So everything is gold. Now I need a secondary color for this band. So maybe I'll pick this same color from our hero here and put it in the same layer as the same that color. So here I'm just using some colors, repeating them to create a variation. Now this will be a quicker process as I have already done the other one. Coming to the skin tone, let's make this guy's skin tone a bit different, maybe a bit darker and more saturated, so that he's different from the other guy. And a hair color, I forgot the eyebrows, making him darker eyebrows, and the eyes in the details layer. And let's check these colors in using our tone modifier. Looks good except the arm pads. These two colors are blending. The gauntlet and this both have the same tonal value, so I'm going back in that and actually I'll tweak this blue color, make it lighter. Let's see how it turns to be. That looks okay. Okay, let's go to the shadows. I'm using the same shadow layers here. I'll increase my speed of doing this. So this is our first shadow layer. This whole part will be in darkness and we'll enhance it with the second layer. adding a bit of shadow in the layers of the turban. Moving to the second shadow layer, put all of this in darkness. Now moving to the lesser highlight.
Monisha asking, can you do someday show us how you do wedding cards?
I am actually gonna take a workshop on that, as I don't want to freely share that information, but I'll definitely hold a workshop for teaching that to people who are interested. But you need to know this basic technique of coloring, that is just an add on, because once you know how to color things, you can use that in any way you want in any project. But there are a lot of other things that go along with knowing the skills to take wedding cards. I'll definitely teach that. Let's make this also reflective, like so. See how quickly things start looking like they're reflective. Let's add on to the gold color with our brighter yellow.
Kirisan Asif saying, please share link of your last stream.
You can check the stream on my YouTube channel. Just have to go to the channel. Now the last touch is your color variation. Let's add maybe orange. I'm using the Eagle Hawk brush again.
Monisha asking, which is the drawing that took you the longest hours?
Longest hours. It's not a single drawing, but my comic book definitely is my longest project yet. Took me over 8 months. the more detail you want to put in your drawing, the more time it takes. So a recent one I had shared on my page, it's it's an commission done for someone's parents, and I've drawn a scene of LAP behind it that had a lot of details, so it took a long time to do that, maybe 20 hours.
Monisha asking one more question. Have you ever hated a drawing after completing it?
That's a great question. A lot of times while working with clients, they have a different idea, and if you don't make it clear in the start, it can happen that the changes keep on coming. And there was this one client who wanted to draw her in a forest, and then things kept on adding, and I charged very less for it. I thought I'm gonna draw a basic background of a forest, but then it ended up being a highly detailed forest with different kind of actual plants and trees and fruits and whatnot. So the result was good, but I hated working on it because it was taking days and days to just list of endless changes. So there's a second character done. Now this guy, let's make the gold staff. The trident, and I'm gonna make it glow. Let's select the skin tone of this guy and make it warmer. And the hair color, I want it to change to show he's old again. So maybe it's gray like this. So this is why I keep things in layers. I can easily tweak the colors. Let's do the eyes. I forgot the eyebrows here. So in the hair layer, let's add the eyebrows. Forgot the mouth here. So there's your mouth. How's everyone doing? Say something in the comments so I can respond to it. Are you liking my art till now? How's this illustration going? Give a thumbs up if you're liking it. Let's see what we can make the colors for this guy. I'm thinking orange to start with. This main color, as I said, you can keep maximum of 2 or 3 colors per character to make them unique and not too colorful.
Monisha asking, how do you choose colors?
I choose color very, very instinctively. And if you go back to see this live stream, you will see how I started with the coloring. I pick random colors and then tweak them, check their values. That's how I come up with different colors. Now here I want to make these characters go well as a group, so I'll repeat colors in them as well. Maybe this guy will have blue. So just orange and blue go well together, but let's see later we can tweak the colors. Okay, it shouldn't look more like Dragon Ball Z here. I'll change the blue a bit.
Rajesh saying that's a good insight on client work. It's difficult to manage client expectation unless the initial ideas drafted and approved. Plus and minus 10% changes is okay. Anything above that be chargeable.
That's a great thing. Rajesh, this is why we should always set up parameters when we start, before we start with the clients. And it's like you can keep at least 2 rounds of changes as included in your fees, and after that, the rest is chargeable, maybe per round or per what do you say, or hourly basis, maybe. So setting the parameters at before you start any job is, and a lot of artists make the mistake of not taking out as much information as possible from the client, and later on the clients say that they keep adding stuff to do, and you cannot say that this was not included in the agreement because you made no agreement before. So you need to set the parameters of any job before you start.
Really saying just for records, for highlight opacity was 50 and light highlight was 20.
That is correct, Unali. That is my default go to values, but you can add, subtract according to your artwork. Adding this brownish tone to the gold like the others, I forgot to do it here. So the secret of coloring gold is having a bright yellow color and a darker yellow color which is a bit reddish in tone, and it should contrast, and then have the brightest highlights. You can even go pure white for the highlights, but for now we'll continue what we have been using. Put this tiny highlights. I'm using pure white layer here just to add to the gold effect. See how it pops up. Let's make the crown gold as well. This is a nice way to create a shiny material. You just go over with a darker contrasty color and create these streaks, and then the white highlights on top. And then the pure white color on top.
Monisha asking what is the brush you are using now?
I am only using dry ink for this whole time in this live stream. You can see here dry ink. Only for a few smudges I used Eagle Hawk. Just reviewing my drawing, how it is looking here. Looking good for so long. All the colors of this guy are done. Let's do the shadows quickly. This method of curling is called the 3-step coloring process, and you better learn it to give a good output. So the 3 steps are your solid colors, your shadows, and your highlights. And that's all you need to get your basic work done.
Vasant Kumar asking where can we find the Eagle Hawk brush?
The Eagle Hawk brush you will find somewhere in, let me find it. It is definitely a default brush. I can't seem to find it right now. DM me on this Instagram and I'll get back to it. Did I accidentally use my other color? This is the purple color I was supposed to use. So let me just select all of this thing. And turn my alpha lock on and fill this. In drawing, the Eagle Hawk brush is in drawing. Eagle Hawk, there you have it. That's why I couldn't find it, it's in drawing. Kishori knew that and she told me. Let's get back to the shadows. And drawing the shadows and imagining the different shapes. So you need to try to imagine the different forms in 3D. There's one layer of shadows done. Moving to the second layer to add some darker shadows like below the neck.
Monisha asking your favorite illustrators.
My favorite illustrators are Jake Parker and Derek Luffman. Jake Parker is the guy who created Inktober. If you know what that is, it's a challenge in October where you ink some drawings. And Derek Luffman is famous for creating chibi forms of popular culture characters, so fan art. And both have self-published a lot of books, and that's why I like their work. Let's get these highlights on the hair, the sharper, the brighter ones. This gives it a feeling that it is hair. We have already done the gold, so let's get the other highlights, the 20% opacity ones, and draw this edge. For the skin, you can even add this on the nose. Don't forget, in the brighter highlights, add the nose, the little dot which gives the bright spot on the shine on the nose. And for the skin, this rim light can be in your brighter highlights as well. Then the lighter ones, just to add a bit of texture everywhere and create variation in your highlights. Isn't this coloring process very quick to execute? If this is the first time you're seeing this process, I'm sure you must have learnt something new. There's another character done. Now one thing remaining is the glow. So maybe we'll put a yellow glow here on top of all our colors. I'll create a new layer just for this glowing effect. I'm using a solid yellow. Now painting this is just the half the part. You go to the ink layer, which is this, turn the alpha lock off. You can find alpha lock here. Now choose maybe an orange duller orange and paint this effect. I'm replacing the black lines with this color because it's an effect and it needs to glow. Now using the same yellow on top of my ink, not on top of the ink, on top of my highlights, create a new layer for the glow, put it on screen. Let's see how bright this is first. So I'm painting the glow falling on this guy, and let's see the opacity, maybe 70%. Maybe I'll put it on normal and put it lower, even 50%. And we are not done here. So this is the glow. Maybe we'll make it brighter. You can even try doing additive, but then you'll have to go lighter to make this really pop. Now the final touch is on all top of your inking layer. Use something like a soft brush. Put this on screen. And do this really bright thing, which is the glow, and reduce the opacity. Maybe I can try the additive here as well.
Monisha asking Drake. It's Derek Loffman.
Derek Loffman, DEREK.
And your favorite Indian illustrator, if any?
Indian illustrator Lavanya Naidu is a good illustrator. I really enjoy the the details in her drawings.
What's her Instagram page?
Lavanya Naidu.
Okay, that's
I will just redo this glow effect here because it was too flat. Put it on screen. And that's how you glow something. Here's the difference it makes. This stream has been going on for 1 hour 46 minutes. I'm gonna quickly finish the other two characters as well. I need to get this done, guys. This is not the final color, I'm just choosing one to start. Let us use hue saturation on this. be something like this, and a second color for the plates. I'm always thinking about not making the characters too colorful, because I've noticed in a lot of things the colors really matter. So this slight variation in colors is enough. You don't have to do every single thing in a different color. You can repeat the colors to make it more appealing. Now the under clothing that she's wearing, making it a different color to stand out from the armor. And then we need a one color for the boots and the gloves.
Vasant Kumar asking how many shadow layers and how many highlight layers do you use?
You can see the colors have the maximum layers. On top of that, I have a shadow layer, a secondary shadow layer, and two highlight layers. You can check back in this stream. I have explained how I come up with the layers. Let's make this color a bit brighter but less saturated, and maybe a bit orange. So as you can see, I choose colors very instinctively. Another great thing that you can do is keep finding characters with good color palettes, and when you want to create your own character, use them, because stealing color palettes is not a crime. I'm gonna make this snake pop up with the bright red thing. Now I am using more saturated color here because I need this to stand out. I will tweak this a bit, make it more saturated, because it's a shield, it's the logo and sigil, and it needs to stagger the enemy. That's why. I'll use the same gray here for the shield and the sword. This is my longest stream yet, and I'm making this just for me. And if anyone wants to know what process I use to create my art, this is it. Let's choose a slightly different color for this thing. These slight variations is all you need in color. Forgot her eyes. Maybe this girl has blue eyes. I want to make her underclothing color a bit more saturated, like so. And I'll repeat the armor color in the sword. And this belt buckle. So if you can see, this is not that appealing, but once we add the metallic shadows and highlights, this will start looking better. Let's see our contrast. I guess this will need more contrast. You can see this and this is very close, so I'll make this color a bit darker. So this creates your visual contrast. Let's do the shadows and highlights now. We'll start with the face. The hair is casting a shadow on the face. This is the same technique of coloring I used to create my whole comic book. So it's very useful to quickly color a lot of things. This is how you create metal, by adding dark areas to show the reflectivity, and this whole shadow part. Let's do the highlight, the brighter one for the metal, and quickly this becomes shiny. I'm adding these edges as well. That's our metal done. Add a bit of highlights to our hair for the hair texture. Now this left guy will cast a highlight on her hair as well, so let's add this yellow glow. Let's add the reflection to the shield as well, the dark line, just to give it that metallic feel. Going into the second shadow layer, adding more depth to certain places. And the second highlight layer. Just to add dimension to the places which are non-shiny. There's a fourth character done. Now just the last one left. And I'm thinking a cooler tone for her, maybe green. Green and gold in her hood here. repeating the green down. Let's go to the detail layer to add gold. Maybe her bow has some gold here. I'm choosing the brighter color to add the shine on the gold. This is how you make the gold shine. You can even turn on alpha lock to do this. And all of a sudden this starts shining. Choosing white. Adding this tiny bit of highlights. Let's do her other bits now. The eyes. Let's give her brown eyes and highlights. Going to the inking layer. So green and maybe light but some sort of brown. These are typical ranger colors. We need a color for the base. Let's just fill this color and then tweak it. This is nice. Looking good. The bow can be a lighter brown. Putting it in details layer.
Vasant Kumar Singh learned a lot of coloring and shading techniques in today's stream. Thanks a lot for doing this.
Always great to hear that. Thank you so much for attending this. And I'm gonna save this stream so that other people can view it too. It took me years to perfect this process, and I learn new things every day. When you are doing this full time, you need to have a process ready which you can replicate with all the work that you get. We are almost done for today's stream. This is the longest stream that I have done till date, but I wanted to get this illustration done as I keep procrastinating, and I get to show everyone my process this way. Just adding a little bit of details like the pink tone. For the first character we did some color variation, and I'm gonna do that a bit later for others as well. But let's end this stream before I do that. Sometimes in my lighter color I use the same green. It won't be as bright. Maybe in the brighter color I'll do that, and it gives a different kind of highlight to the clothes. Good way to do cloths, highlights on cloths this way. For the brown I will add the brown in the highlight, because till now I was using whites only. Now let's use white and add that last bit of gloss. This should be the other color. I forgot adding the darker shadows in the other layer for this, so just adding that a bit gives an extra depth to your character doing this. some highlights on the hair. The last touch. And that's all our characters colored. This was a super long stream. Let me just maximize this. And if any one of you are here from the beginning, I don't think so. Kirk, thank you for joining the stream. For the people who are here, if you have any questions, the final thoughts before we end today's session, please drop in the comments in the live chat. Finally, I would like to say check out my book, which is about creating characters, and this illustration that we did today goes into the book. So this is available on my website as a PDF right now, and supporting this book supports me as an artist. So thank you for joining this live stream. Let's end today's session now, and bye bye.